The 9th and 10th grade mallet excerpt is the Allegro from Sonata Number 6 from Masterworks for Mallets. And you're playing measure 36 to the end of the page, so measure 36 through 66. And the whole thing is basically based on an E major scale, so I would practice that a lot. And first, a word about the tempo. I know it says that you're supposed to take it at 100, but you know, I don't think that it's a really big deal if you take some of the excerpts you're supposed to play a little bit under tempo. Remember, it's always better to play something well and musically than to have a lot of mistakes at the printed tempo. I don't think that originally this piece had a printed tempo, so it could be something that the editor put into the book later on. And I think it's going to be a lot easier to pull off at a slower tempo. For instance, quarter note equals 100 is a little bit frantic for this. You know, and so forth. It's just a little, I think it's just a little too fast. I would take that down maybe about 15 clicks or so, somewhere around 84. It's a lot easier to be expressive at this speed. So that's the first part of that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the stickings in this. None of this lays to where you can just absolutely play it from hand to hand, right to left, or just left to right. You're going to have to find places to do some double stickings to change the direction of things. And I also try to avoid cross stickings as much as possible, although there is one spot in here where I do one. At letter D, measure 49, you're playing an F sharp major arpeggio, and at that point I do reach over and down to the A sharp with my right hand. It's a lot easier if you just pull your left hand to the edge of the accidental and play the F sharp and the A sharp in the middle. So everything starting at letter D works best for the first 6 measures if you just play hand to hand, right hand lead. Until we get to this point. This is measure 54, and here on this figure I play a paradiddle on the first beat, right, left, right, right, and on the second pulse I play the middle 2 notes with the right. This makes it easier for me to keep my eyes on the page and not look down, and it just lays really well. The next measure is the trickiest one, measure 55. Now we've got this. If we did a hand-to-hand sort of sticking, we would have to really cross past ourselves all the way down to the E. That's kind of tricky. I think it's a little easier if you just memorize this measure and play 3 doubles in a row, because the next measure is going to lay better for the first part with a left hand lead anyway. Left, right, left, right, left. So the 2 measures as a whole are going to be this. With a little bit of practice, I think that can work out pretty well. Do it one more time. Then I do a right hand lead after that. This is measure 57, so it's right, right, left, right, left, right, left. From that point on, measure 60 works better if you play a paradiddle on the first 4 16th notes. Right, right. Paradiddle, left, right, right. Measure 62 is a little bit tricky. Play the 3/16 notes right before measure 62, starting with the right hand, so that you wind up with your left hand on the low A. And I would just practice this like 8/16 times in a row, so you can get used to what that A sounds like. It sounds like it might be a wrong note, but it's not. Starting from that A in measure 62, I like to play the next two notes with my right hand, so that I'm set up to do a whole high-low, high-low, high-low pattern after that. So I would just practice that little figure over and over, the downbeat of 62 to the downbeat of 63. In measure 64, a paradiddle again works very well for the first 4/16ths, so that you can drop down to the F. And then on the trill, you need to trill between the D, which is a D sharp, of course, from the key signature, between the D sharp and the E, and try to get just 5 notes, which would wind up being right, left, right, and now this gives your left hand time to get down to the E. So practice that several times. Go from the F sharp on beat 2 to the trill on the and. Try to squeeze 5 notes in there and go to the E. And just practice that as a little exercise. Gives your left hand just enough time to get down there. And from then on, you can use a left hand lead. Back at the beginning, it was pretty much a straightforward right hand lead, but I do a couple of doubles in there. I make sure to start the highest note in measure 37, which is the G sharp. Make sure to start that with the right hand. And then we're going to start the next 3/16 notes leading into measure 40 with the left hand. And then play a double right on the end of beat number 1. And then I do a double right leading from the last 16th note of 44 to 45, because I've been doing a left hand lead here. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right. So hopefully all of those sticking considerations will help you prepare this piece. Again, my suggestion is to play it a little bit under tempo, maybe in the mid-80s instead of quarter note equals 100.